Okay, we are standing at the bottom of the Kidron Valley on the very lower end of the Mount of Olives, and we're looking across west toward the city wall. You can barely see the top of the golden dome of the rock over there, looking down the Kidron Valley to the south toward the city of David. And what's behind me here, over in this direction, is the Garden of Gethsemane, or what many call the Garden of Gethsemane. And the large church here is the Church of All Nations. If you go inside, you go up front to the altar area. There's a stone on the floor where people come and pray, and they touch it, and it's believed that that's the stone where Jesus perhaps knelt and prayed on the night of his arrest with his disciples. Luke chapter 22 says this, that Jesus came out and went, and as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into a time of trial." Then he withdrew them about a stone's throw away, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling on the ground. When he got up from prayer, he came to his disciples and found them sleeping because of grief. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not come into the time of trial." Welcome to Gethsemane. As you can see, looking into the garden, the olive trees here, many of them are huge, and they're huge because they are ancient. There's some of the larger trees in here that may go back to the time of Christ or very close to the time of Jesus. And it reminds us of what this was. It wasn't so much a garden as it was an olive grove. This was probably a thick grove of olive trees in ancient times, and there was here a Gethsemane. A Gethsemane simply means an olive press, and so a large stone that crushed from its sheer weight ripe olives, that pulverized them and extracted the precious oil. Well, Jesus spent his final night, his final hours here with his disciples in this place, sweating, praying, anguishing, and preparing himself to be crushed because his time was ripe, crushed for the sins of his world. And he did that all, as Luke records, while his disciples slept. And so here in this garden is where they came for him that night. Eventually, Jesus knew they would. They came with torches. They came with large numbers of authorities. This is where he received the kiss of his betrayer Judas. This is where Malchus, the high priest's servant, memorably lost his ear and got it back again. And here they eventually arrested Jesus, and instead of calling angels, which he could have, he allowed them to arrest him and to take him back across this valley, right across this road here, where this busy thoroughfare that buses and cars go up now, down through that valley and up the other side into the city for several hours of torture and trials, and eventually his cross. And so it's a beautiful place, and it's a place to think about those words. For me, it was in the garden. He prayed, "Not my will, but thine." He had no tears for his own griefs, but sweat drops of blood for mine. How wonderful, how marvelous is my Savior's love for me.